What if I told you some cars are so fast, so dangerous, and so downright unhinged that the law had to step in and say, yeah, no, park it, permanently? These aren't your average supercars. These are machines so wild they were literally banned from public roads worldwide. We're talking about cars that sound like fighter jets, accelerate like missiles, and handle like... Well, actually, some of them didn't handle at all. That was the problem. So buckle up, because today we're diving into cars so fast they got banned worldwide. Smash that like button if you've ever dreamed of driving something the government says you shouldn't, and let's kick it off with one of the greatest forbidden fruits in car history. 1. McLaren F1LM. The McLaren F1 was already legendary. It was the car that made Ferrari and Lamborghini look like they were driving rental Camrys. But then McLaren thought, what if we took the F1 and made it even more ridiculous? Enter the McLaren F1LM, only 5 ever made, built to celebrate their victory at Le Mans. 680 horsepower, weighing just over 2,300 pounds. That's like strapping a rocket engine to a feather. 0 to 60? 2.9 seconds in the 90s. Here's the problem. It was basically a race car pretending to be a street car. Emissions? Failed. Safety regulations? Failed. Airbags? Nope. The LM was so raw that most countries flat out refused to let it on the roads. Imagine spending tens of millions of dollars just to stare at it in your garage. Owning an LM is like having Thor's hammer. You technically have it, but good luck actually using it. But if you think that's insane, wait until you hear about a car so crazy, its own creator banned it. 2. TVR Cerbera Speed 12. TVR looked at the McLaren F1 and thought, challenge accepted. They dropped in a 7.7-liter V12 pushing well over 1,000 horsepower. No traction control, no ABS, no electronic aids at all, just pure chaos. The founder of TVR, Peter Wheeler, decided to test it himself. He drove it, he parked it, he got out. And he literally said, this car is undrivable. That's not marketing spin. That's the guy who built it admitting he created Satan on wheels. The Speed 12 was so extreme, TVR canceled the whole project. Only one road-legal prototype exists, and even that is considered way too dangerous for normal roads. This car makes a roller coaster look like a mobility scooter. Honestly, driving one would probably feel like strapping yourself to a rabid cheetah armed with rocket boosters. But hey, if the Speed 12 was chaos, the next car is pure science fiction. Meet the Swedish Megacar that basically doubles as a fighter jet. 3. Koenigsegg. 1. Koenigsegg isn't just a car company, it's a mad scientist lab disguised as one. And the 1-1 was their Frankenstein. 1,341 horsepower, 1,341 kilograms. A perfect 1-to-1 power-to-weight ratio, hence the name. This thing could hit 270 plus miles per hour, which is fast enough to make your eyeballs file for divorce. But here's the kicker, it was loud. Like military jet on afterburner loud. Noise regulations? Forget it. Emission standards? Nope. Some countries literally said, this is a war crime, not a car. And yeah, it looked insane. The aerodynamics were so advanced, it could generate 610 kilograms of downforce at 160 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, that's like a whole grand piano pinning the car to the road. But good luck explaining that to your neighbors when you fire it up at 6 a.m. Sorry, Karen, didn't mean to scramble your pacemaker. If the 1-1 is a fighter jet, the next one's a straight-up rocket with wheels. 4. Bugatti Bolide. The Bugatti Bolide isn't a car. It's a science experiment where the conclusion is always, holy sh**. Over 1,800 horsepower. Top speed rumored above 310 miles per hour. Aerodynamics that make Formula 1 cars look lazy. This thing produces more downforce than gravity itself. But here's why it's banned. No airbags, no crash safety, no compromise. It was built purely for the track. On real roads, the Bolide is basically a ticking lawsuit. Governments around the world said, no way. Unless you get a specialist company to Frankenstein it into road legal status, the Bolide will never touch public asphalt. It's the kind of car that makes you wonder, is it still a car? Or is it the first step toward time travel? But not every banned car was outlawed for being too fast. Some got axed for paperwork. Yeah, Bureaucracy killed one of the greatest cars ever made. 5. Porsche 959. Back in the 80s, the Porsche 959 was like an alien spacecraft on wheels. Twin turbos, AWD, computer-controlled suspension, it was the Bugatti Veyron of its time. But the US government asked Porsche to provide a few cars for crash testing. Porsche said no. The government responded with, "Fine. Then you can't sell it here." That's it. That's the story. One of the greatest cars in history was banned because Porsche didn't want to see it get smashed into a wall. Even Bill Gates couldn't drive his 959. He had one stuck in customs for years until the show or display law was introduced in 1999. Imagine being Bill freaking Gates, richer than half the planet, and Uncle Sam still says, "No Porsche for you." From German bureaucracy to Japanese street racing, our next car wasn't just banned, it was hunted down like contraband. 6. Nissan Skyline GT-R R34. The R34 Skyline is JDM royalty. Every Fast and Furious fan drools over it. But in the US, forbidden. Why? Because of the 25-year rule, cars not officially tested for US safety standards can't be imported until they're 25 years old. And since the R34 was basically a hacker's dream machine, packed with advanced tech, huge tuning potential, and a street racing reputation, it was banned. Customs literally seized and crushed illegally imported R34s. Imagine watching your dream car get flattened into a cube. That's some heartbreaking anime stuff right there. But the wait's finally over. R34s are now trickling into the US, but at prices so insane you might need a Fast and Furious style heist just to afford one. But Japan wasn't the only place with forbidden fruit. The British also made a car too wild for American roads because it was missing something kind of important, like airbags. 7. Lotus Elise Series 1. The Lotus Elise is proof that sometimes less is more. It was tiny, light, agile, basically a go-kart with headlights. Purists loved it, but in the US, it was banned. Why? No airbags, no modern safety features. The Elise didn't pass the crash test checklist, so it was DOA for American buyers. That didn't stop enthusiasts from importing them for track days. But seeing one cruising Main Street legally in the US, forget it. It's the classic case of amazing to drive, terrible to survive. Okay, so what happens if you don't even bother pretending it's a road car and just slap a license plate on a literal Le Mans race car? 8. Dauer 96 to Le Mans. This wasn't a car, it was a cheat code. The Dauer 962 was basically Porsche's Le Mans race car with license plates bolted on, over 730 horsepower, top speed near 250 miles per hour. But here's the problem. It failed pretty much every safety test known to man. Multiple countries banned it outright. Still, a few lucky maniacs actually drove them on real roads. Imagine rolling up to a red light next to a Honda Civic in what is essentially a race car that just escaped from pit lane. It was awesome. It was absurd. And yeah, it was illegal almost everywhere. So there you have it. From undrivable monsters to bureaucratic casualties, these are the cars so fast, so wild, or just so wrong that governments had no choice but to ban them. Which one would you risk jail time to drive? The McLaren LM, the undrivable TVR, the Skyline Legend, or maybe the 1,800 horsepower Bugatti Rocket? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious which one tempts you the most. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip into the forbidden side of horsepower, hit that like button, subscribe, and join me next time for another dive into the world's craziest cars. Until then, stay fast, stay furious, and remember, sometimes the best cars are the ones we're not allowed to drive.